Alright, buttercups, because we are diving deep into the intellectual wellspring that is Urban Dictionary. Today's entry, submitted by the aspiring author Rez Kid with a back in 2017, a simpler time. Well, my biggest worry was if my dial-up connection could handle loading a new Sailor Moon GIF. And the term is Rez Kid. Ooh, spicy. Okay, definition one, usually born and raised on an Indian reservation. Rez kids are little brown humans. Wait, little brown humans? That's a choice. This was 2017, folks. Now you gotta say diminutive indigenous persons, or maybe a tiny sovereign native Canadian. But back then, I guess we were all just little brown humans. Bless their hearts. And these little brown humans are running the Rez with no shoes on, smashing beer bottles, running around barefoot. That sounds less like a Rez kid and more like my dad's entire generation after the first warm day of spring. My experience, no, I was in the cigarette line, holding a pillowcase full of smoked coupons, sweating buckets, trying to sell my quota for 20 bucks. Why? Cause that 20 bucks wasn't going towards smashing bottles, it was going straight to the flea market. You know! To buy some secondhand VHS anime, anything from Tenchi Muyo to Project Echo, or some dusty water damage N64 cartridge, all lusting over our pose. Look, I'm still a fiend, okay? We grew up in the glorious VHS era, where the video quality was always slightly damp, and we liked it. Let's look at the next bit. They usually come to life at nighttime, riding the beater bikes up and down the Rez. Yeah, I usually came to life at night too, but instead of riding a beater bike, I was furiously working on my GOC site, making sure my Sonic the Hedgehog sprite comic had that perfect angle motion blur effect, or I was trawling the darkest corners of the internet for decent shareware games. Nighttime was for the grind, the digital grind. And the grand finale, shooting rocks at people and purposely kicking Rez dogs. Shooting rocks. You know, on Halloween, people just shot fireworks at you. Way more dramatic, but kicking dogs. Look, you're a real dipshit if you're kicking a dog, but you're also real dipshit if you tie a dog up outside his entire life. Enough said about the topic. Moving on. The quote, those darn Rez kids, man, always stealing grapes and candies from the store. Grapes? What Rez kid is stealing grapes? That sounds like a sophisticated suburban kid trying to make a smoothie. It's always been about the chips and the pop, and maybe a rogue chocolate bar that you know is gonna melt instantly in your hand. Grapes, candies, no, maybe it's just being raised by eggheads, but I would never steal. Plus I was spoiled rotten as a kid, so I just demanded it, which is totally different, but that's another story entirely. Anyway, that was Rez Kid by Rez Kid with a Dream. It's a fun little time capsule.